to serve the so she just asked us, please. Council, before you have the minutes of January 2026 council sitting meeting, I'll entertain a motion to accept those meetings as read. For adjournment. Council, before you have the minutes of January 2026, 13 public hearing for pre-annexation, I'll entertain that motion. Troy, Turner, and Dawson. All right. All right, all in favor of those communications, say aye. Aye. All right, thank you. All right, City Clerk, any communications from the city? All right, citizen participation. Obviously, we have a lot of folks here tonight, which I greatly appreciate. It's really nice to see a community that loves their town like you all do, and I wish we had more participation in regular meetings. It's too bad that it had to come from something like this, but we invite you all to participate in our meetings, our city council meetings, our planning meetings. Your participation and your involvement helps us do a better job. So once again, thank you, and we're going to go through this, and we appreciate your patience. So. What we're going to do tonight, we've got a lot of citizens participation is going to happen. So what we want to do, we're going to move that to the end of the meeting. We have some stuff that we would like to get out to you so you can make some more informed questions. So unless there's any objections, we're going to move the citizen participation to the end of the meeting. Everyone in favor of that? I need a motion. Dan? Nate? All right, everybody in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? All right. Mayor's comments. All right. We've got a lot to say tonight. I appreciate everybody being here. I went and put some thoughts together, so hopefully I can cover everything. I'm going to give you the whole story. This is the deal with the data processing center, everything we know up to date. Approximately a year ago, Cloverleaf Development approached the city with a possible multi-billion-dollar development. Anything of this size obviously had our attention. We really didn't know much about data processing centers, and we quickly educated ourselves to that. Data processing centers, as you all know, process credit cards, Microsoft, Amazon, Facebook. It is a huge building that uses a lot of energy, that does a massive amount of processing. So with that, in our discovery, we, our first concern obviously is the safety of the community. You know, we kind of read up on things, saw what was going on in other communities, saw what was going on in Missouri. Obviously, there's huge safety concerns. You know, first and foremost, what we do for the community is safety. Safety, health, and prosperity is what we're all about. We have an awesome community, and the last thing we want to do is do anything to compromise that. So, in our discovery, we called out to some other communities. I sent our administrator to Nebraska, actually visited one of these data processing centers. Tried to gather information. We had multiple phone calls to other communities with these data processing centers. What did you like? What didn't you like? What would you have done different? You know, what can we do to make this process a smooth and safe process? What can we do to inform our citizens? A lot of back work, a lot of homework. Something that continued to come up was the potential for incredible tax revenue. Our city's EAV is about $400 million. This is a billion or multi-billion-dollar project. If you put that in perspective, you know, it's kind of hard to wrap your head around. It took me a long time to. You know, there's a lot of things going on in Troy. Data processing centers are a thing that's coming to communities everywhere. The more we evolve into that digital realm, the more that we use our phone, our app for everything, the more data processing centers are needed. The question is, does it fit in Troy? Good question. Let's talk about revenue. The school just borrowed $100 million to improve our schools. All for it. We have the best school system in the area. We want to endorse that. We want to complement that. We want to do everything in our power to make our schools the best that they can be. At the end of the day, our kids are everything. Big deal. $100 million. Coming up soon, we're going to have a need for a new sewer plant. With the state's regulations, with phosphorus and PFAS, our sewer plant is old and outdated. We need a new sewer plant. We've done a lot of work. We had a potential bid for $50 million. We sent it back, said we can do better than this. Give us another bid. We're working on that. We anticipate having those numbers in February sometime. Our water plant. You've heard PFAS. PFAS is something that's in the aquifer that we draw from. We have no detectable limits at this time. Townsville, on the other hand, has detectable limits. They put them into a tailspin. They have many meetings just like this because of the PFAS. You know, we would like to get ahead of that. We would like to soften the water. Everyone I talk to is, the water's terrible, the water's terrible. I'm like, I know, but everything takes money. There's a lot of things going on with that. Catch up to myself here. Potential for lower property taxes. When we're talking billions of dollars, everyone wants lower property taxes. Everyone in this room would like to see that, I would assume. We would like to see that. The question is can we do that in a healthy way? Yet to be seen. The EAV of the school, I believe, is about $800 million. The EAV for the city is about $400 million. I'm sorry. Yeah, $400 million. When you start talking about additional EAV of $1 billion to $2 billion, possibly more, that spreads that tax load out amongst industry and citizens. Not everything's on the back of the citizens. In our community, everything's on the back of the citizens. We don't have any substantial industry. That is a very, very good reason to consider a project of this scale. Data centers use a tremendous amount of energy. 300,000 to 350,000 single-family homes worth of energy. In my mind, when I first approached this, I thought to myself, is 307,000 homes something that they can acquire? Can we have them pay our energy bills? Energy is going to skyrocket. Whether we take it, whether we have a data processing center here, it goes to Maryville, it goes to Pontoon Beach, it goes to Glen Carbon, wherever it goes, our energy is going to go up. The Green Deal is not helping energy users. I'm all for green energy, but the way it's been implemented in our state has been horrendous. People are losing their homes. Terrible. Can we give some energy relief to our citizens? Can we get under that umbrella? Catch up again. There's a lot of unanswered questions. We don't have the answers. We are diligently searching for the answers. We're trying to do our research. We're trying to do everything we can to get on top of this. All right. Our first thing is to protect the city. Our citizens, our kids, our infrastructure, our parks. We love our city. Everybody wants to move to Troy. House goes for sale in Troy, boom, sold. Rentals, boom, sold. Everybody wants the schools, everybody wants the parks, everybody wants the security that the police department provides. Everybody wants to come here, but we've got to make good decisions. We started an ordinance 2025-46. I have this ordinance here, it's at the podium. I would invite everyone to read that. Go on board docs, read that. Get involved. Read the agenda for the council meetings, for the planning committee meetings. Come to the meetings. Get involved. Don't sit on Facebook and punch a bunch of crap out that stirs a mess in our community. Facebook and social media can be a cancer. Get the information from the horse's mouth. This is the horse's mouth. Don't believe what you hear on Facebook. You believe none of what you hear and half of what you see on social media, and you're probably going to be a lot better off. Don't take my word for it. You don't have to listen to me, but I'm giving some pretty good advice. It was given to me a long time ago. All right, ordinance 2025-46. We tried to get ahead of this. We started an ordinance, my staff, Tom Sissel, Jay Keevan, Ann Bird. Well, Ann wasn't here yet. Ann's only been with us 5 months. This started almost a year ago. This was all in action before she ever showed up. In a couple staff meetings, we talked and said, we need to get ahead of this. If this is going to come to town, we need to have some hard rules, potentially come to town. We need to have some hard rules in place. And we set up this ordinance, sent it to the planning committee. We ended up voting on it, I think sometime in November, is that correct? It sets strict standards on light. You can't have light extending past your fence line. You can't have sound more than 60 decibels past the fence line. Water use. You can only use so much water. The new closed loop system would be the only thing we would even consider. We're not going to use our water for our children and our trees and our parks for something like this. The closed loop system uses approximately 1 million gallons. We have the capacity of 4 million gallons a day. We use between 1.2 million gallons and 1.5 million gallons a day. The closed loop system had to be filled approximately once every 3 to 6 months, and I don't know if that is entirely accurate. I'm just giving you what I was told. There's chemicals in the water that they use. It's a closed loop system. It would be treated under special use, which this ordinance covers. We would be able to dictate exactly what comes out of that place if it ever comes to that. We'd be able to tell you where the fences go. We'd be able to tell you where the berms go. Special use is the way to handle these situations. Whether we take it here or not, any community that is considering this kind of business or this kind of entity would probably take a lot of notes from what we've done so far. Special use is the key. You cannot let something like this roll in your town. Dictate what you do. Take your resources. Take your power. It's just not happening in Troy. Special use is a key to doing that. We've enacted that. We think that we're ahead of the curve. This is all brand new. We're doing everything we can to stay ahead of the curve. All right. There was a document a while back. We were going through the process. There's a process. Everything has to go through planning. So before the council gets anything, it goes through planning. Planning would have some wonderful individuals on our planning committee. Very intelligent, professional, do their homework, due diligence. They love our community. Planning committee, I cannot speak enough about them. Jamie Stone is the chair. If you ever talk to Jamie, extremely intelligent, energy professional. That's what she does. She's very well respected in her industry, and we take a lot of leads from her. Jamie is awesome. After it goes through planning, it comes to the council. So it's got to get through there. They give us a recommendation. What do you want to do? They say, we think this is a good deal, we think this is a bad deal. There is a process that everything has to go through. There was a misconception that we were trying to slide something in the back door. Not happening. We are transparent in everything we do. Get on board docs, read the agenda, read the minutes. Everything we do is very, very public. It's the law. We follow the law. No one is trying to pull anything on anybody. I would beg you to get involved. Board docs, City of Troy, explore it. Get involved with it. Educate yourself to what is actually going on. Don't take information from Facebook.
We don't need a lecture.
I'm not, if you talk again, you'll be next. The reason I'm talking about that, there's been a lot of bad information put out that's hurt a lot of my staff and the aldermen. People have come to their houses at night. People have been on Facebook just tearing people apart, accusing them of all kinds of atrocious things. The people that you see sit up here are the elected officials of this community. They're respected. They love this community as much as anybody. I promise you that, as do I. There's no one here that loves the community more than the people sitting up in front.
And don't gaslight us.
Sam's not here tonight. Sam's had some procedure. He had a little heart issue he had to get taken care of. He's been here all his life. Troy, Elizabeth, Heather, everybody here. We love this community. We're with you. We're your neighbors. We live in your community. We coach your kids. We go to your church. These are the people that you've elected to represent you. Please use them. Ask them. Call them. Email them. Don't get your information from Facebook, please. That's all I'm saying. Show up to the meetings. We would love to have you all. Location. The original location for this Cloverleaf's ask was between Townsville Road and 162. So that is basically behind EJ Equipment, behind truck stops, by the state shed, at the Baptist Church, Brad Smith. In our initial meetings, we said, hell no. This is not a good fit. This is not what we want on our long-term plan. This is not what we want people coming into Troy to see. We want much softer development there. We've had Lone Wolf Lodge, a couple people approach us. There's a much better fit for that property. It's the face of Troy when you roll into town. We want something much better for our community. After we kind of rejected that, they went to looking at other potential properties. They moved to the south, behind RP Lumber, behind Commerce Drive, between Spring Valley and Formosa. They had some contracts written with the landowners. They made some pretty substantial offers. They had one in particular property owner who wanted $200,000+ an acre. They had the Buckeye Pipeline, and there's another major natural gas line that goes through that property. After several months of them considering that property, they came back to us, said we want to reconsider the 162 40 property. We were not in favor of that. So still, we don't believe that's a good place if this is going to happen. They said, let's run it up the flagpole. I don't know how many of you were at our last meeting, but they ran it up the flagpole. The flag came back with holes, burns. Pastor Tim Lewis did a fabulous job of explaining our community. I was so proud of them. We have taken that off the table. We're not allowed our parks and our preschools and our churches to be surrounded by these kind of entities. This is not going to happen in Troy. So they're looking again at the property that we directed them to the south. There's a lot of hurdles there. Buckeye Pipeline's still there. The high pressure Ameren natural gas line is still there. There's a different owner on one of the properties. He still does not want to sell. Let me catch up to my notes here. I wrote this all in about an hour and a half before the meeting, so my emotions were pretty intense. After the last meeting, I spoke with our alderman. I don't like to lead our aldermen in one direction or another. It's important that all of them have their own opinion. All the citizens need to be represented, and you do that through your aldermen. I respect the heck out of all our aldermen. It's a tough job. Most of the time they sit there, nobody comes to the meeting, they have to make decisions. And the decisions that we've made so far have been very good. Has anybody been downtown lately? Has anybody seen the growth in the community? We have Palenque, a new restaurant. We have Cleveland Heath coming to town. We have McDill's coming to town. These people are largely responsible for that. Through these folks, these representatives of our community, your voices are heard. We're not about to ignore the people that we live with, love with, go to church with. Please be confident that when you tell them something, they're going to vote accordingly. There's not anybody up there taking any money. If I thought that for a second, I would drop them in the grease. Everyone up here loves this community. Please go to your alderman, tell them your feelings, and they will vote accordingly. After the meeting, when I talked to everyone, there was not one person in support of this going on that property. We still had things to talk about, but it was nice, it was fulfilling for me to see everyone felt the same way I did. It's a test to our community. It is just who we are as Troy. Everybody wants to come to Troy. There's a reason for that. It's the people, our schools, The safety, I don't want to go over it over and over again, but it is a desirable community. We want to keep it that way. I want to touch on something. I want to back up. The ordinance 2025-46, which protects our community from potential future development. There was an email that went out. One of the developers from Cloverleaf had emailed Ann and asked how everything went at the meeting. Anne's been here 5 months. She has no part. She's just doing her best, and she's doing a fabulous job. I got a story about that when we get through this. She said everything went fine, no one was there. Not saying we're hiding anything, but it was adopting Ordinance 2025-46, protecting the citizens. It's there on the podium. It's on board docs. You need to read it. Take it in the proper context. No one in this up here or on the staff would sell the city out for any reason. And it disgusts me that people would insinuate that. We're not up here because we're bought and paid for. I understand everyone's concerned with the way federal and state government works. It makes me sick. We are not those people. We are your neighbor. We are here to help. We're here to navigate through some very tough times. Help us do that. Side story. Getting some grief. Got these restaurants coming. Everything's going on downtown. New sub sandwich. Got the new coffee. Restaurants. Everything's good. Big complaint. Some people never give you any attaboys, but they'll sure tell you, oh, you've done something wrong. Parking. Are you guys crazy? What are you thinking? Parking, it's crazy. What are you going to do? Oh my goodness, didn't you think this out? Meeting me, Ann and Jay. I said, man, if we could get that 107 North Main. Ann's like, I got this. I know him. Ann approaches him. Hey, lovely family, by the way. Lovely family. I just can't even explain it. I got this. She knows him. She's friends with him. And asked them if they'd be interested in selling their home. Does the deal. Comes back. Let's have a meeting. We all three went over to Palenque, our new Mexican restaurant, which I love very much. Sit down with this gentleman. He sits down, he says, I'm a very simple guy. He goes, I don't know really what's going on here. I don't want to be taken advantage of, and I assured him he wouldn't be. We negotiated some terms. He said, I got this, I got this, I got this, I got this. It's like, we got you. Negotiated some terms, worked out a deal with him so that he could pay off his house and put a down payment on a new house. His wife was ecstatic. Couldn't wait. We gave him 6 months that we were going to rent the place to him for $500 a month, give him time to move. 2 weeks, we got a house. Solar panels, oh, we're so happy. That building will be coming down, we're going to be putting parking in. That's the kind of person she is. She was going to the park, the kid played sports, soccer, she scheduled it all, maintained some crazy coaches. And I'm going to say that again, maintained some crazy coaches. Cooking for your retirement party. I can't say enough about it. And everybody who attacked her, shame on you. I want to move on. All right. We've had people show up to council persons, I can't can't say councilmen because it's councilpersons, homes, threatening them, online, threatening them, on Facebook, threatening them, calling me at all hours of the night, threatening me. That is not who we are. We are a wholesome, good, loving community. We work hard, we play hard, we pay our taxes, and we build something spectacular. Do not be that person. If this community is not what you want, maybe another community would fit your needs. That will not be tolerated. My staff and these aldermen, I take their personal safety very serious. They're doing a very hard job for basically nothing. This is not who we are. We've done everything in our power to navigate this. It's a very complex situation. We will continue to do so. I think it's time for us to give Cloverleaf some deadlines. We're giving them 30 days to come up with a proposal. We have not had a proposal from them yet. When you deal with deals of this magnitude, there's 10,000 people live in Troy. I finish concrete for a living. When a billion dollar entity comes in and surrounds the table with all these experts and everything, you're kind of awestruck for a minute. That lasted till about the second meeting. I was like, you know what? We got this. We have some very specific demands. If we can cut property taxes, if we can protect the environment, protect our people, pay for our schools, pay for our water plant, pay for our sewer plant, and do it in a healthy and wise way, we're going to consider it. That's the phase we're in right now. No, nothing has been predetermined. Nothing. You will decide. You will talk to them, and we will vote. And that's how it's going to happen. Please have confidence in these aldermen. The last thing I want to say, we as a community are better than this. We as a community will navigate rough waters. We as a community will do the right thing for the people in this community. I've been here 50 years. I love it. Do not think we're going to sell anybody out. Not going to happen. Please be patient. We're going to give these guys a time period to come up with a comprehensive plan to move forward or not. At this point, it's a tall hill to climb. Thank you for your time. All right, City Administrator, Jay.
Yes, sir. I have 2 ordinances and 2 resolutions coming later in the meeting if you have questions on them. One would be a donation agreement to IDOT for a potential roundabout at 162 and Old Troy Road. We have 2 in regard to H3 Farms. They needed a variance. They're building storage units, and they wanted to put rock in the back end, so they're going to build 1 building at a time, potentially a 3 full build house. So the zoning hearing officer submitted a report supporting the request to use rock as long as there's a hard surface around each building as it was built. And then also is an ordinance from that same H3 Farms for a right-of-way purchase agreement. That's for the trail that'll come down Formosa Road, south Formosa Road, and then eventually MCT is looking at building a multi-million-dollar bridge over US 40 so that we can tie the trail that runs along 40 up towards the high school. It stops at Hennings now. It'll come here to the high school, but that'll tie this into the rest of the MCT trail system. And then we have one more, and that's a resolution of support commitment funds. We received a $286,000 grant for zinc road upgrades, and we believe the bids will come in at that number or less, but we do have to commit to local funds in case they come in higher for the grant itself. But they'll come in later in the meeting. Anybody has any questions, we have to answer them.
Just so everybody's clear on that, MCT is a very extensive trail system. It will eventually, the last leg comes down from Mercer Road. It is going to go across, it's going to cross 40 with a huge bridge. It's going to connect to the other side of 40. It's going to come into Troy and go down the Triad. Mr. Higgins here on some of that property, he's been gracious enough to give us right away on some of that. And that's pretty much what that's about. Did I miss anything?
No, that's it, sir.
All right. All right. City Attorney, Fred.
I'm good, Jay. Thanks.
Consent agenda, there's nothing at this time. Administrative and Community Services. Tim.
And anything tonight?
Just you, thank you. Jay, thank you for covering my ordinances, I appreciate that. The only thing I have is we have a public hearing at 6 p.m. on February 12th regarding the Hampton Glen Villas Plan Development, and then we have our regular planning commission meeting coming at 6:30. That's it.
Thank you. That's all I have there.
Thanks, Ann. Thanks, Ann. Thanks, Tim. Finance and Economic Development, Nate.
So the treasurer is on vacation this evening, I believe, right? So that is the only thing on the agenda this week. Fine.
Thanks, Nate. Actually, Kelly sent me a picture of 2 martinis on the beach earlier, so good to be heard. Law enforcement, Sam is not here this evening. Like I said, he's having a procedure. So unless there's any objection, we will table that. Chief, do you have anything you'd like to address? Public Works, Mr. Dawson.
As always, the first thing is the city engineer report, so I'll turn it over to Tom.
Thank you, Mr. Dawson. I just have a few quick things here. Since I have a large crowd, Troy O'Fallon Road, I think this is important to get this out. We're adding a inlet to Troy O'Fallon Road as part of the turn lane project, as part of the final completion. So traffic controls going to be placed on Troy O'Fallon Road starting tomorrow afternoon, and the project should be done by Friday. So again, there'll be some more traffic control, a lane closed on Troy O'Fallon Road this week. We have bids opening for adding V-gutter to Charter Street. That'll open on Thursday, and so we'll have those bids to consider. That's Charter Street in downtown, so again, doing more downtown improvements to support what's going on down there. That's all I got.
Thanks, Tom. Appreciate the updates. Next thing on Public Works is the Public Works Director's report. Rob?
Well, in case you didn't notice, it snowed. Our crews did, I think, an awesome job. They worked 32 hours around the clock. We had no injuries, no accidents, no damage, no equipment breakdowns. We spread approximately 250 tons of salt. We have about 400 tons remaining. And the only other thing I have is we had a promotion in Public Works. Frank Hotley has been promoted to Public Works Water and Sewer Crew Leader. Frank started with us in November of 2018. He has a Class C operator in training and a Class 4 wastewater license. So congratulate Frank. His first day on the job was today, and we started with a water main break last night. So, that's all.
You forgot to mention the water main break that you had in the middle of a snowstorm.
Oh, yeah, we had one of those too, but, it was kind of hectic right then.
That made it complicated. You guys did a great job. Thanks, Ron. Thank you, Dan. There are no special reports tonight. Unfinished business. Anyone have any business under unfinished business? New business. Does anyone have anything under new business? Ordinances and resolutions. Ms. Kim?
Ordinance 2026-15, an ordinance to adopt the zoning hearing officer's decision granting H3 Farm Enterprises LLC at 1515 Formosa Road, variance 2026-01ZH0.
I'll entertain that motion.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Troy and Heather. Any questions from the council? Any questions from the public?
Is this the variance for the paving for the lot?
This is the variance for the rock and the pavement along the new MCT trail. This is the variance for the lot along the new MCT trail. Not parking, it's going to be storage. Anybody else? All right. Ms. Kim, you want to call roll call?
Dawson?
Yes.
Flint?
Yes.
Hellrum?
Yes.
Henderson?
Yes.
Knoll?
Yes.
Sterling?
Yes.
Turner?
Yes.
7 yeses, 0 nos. Ordinance 2026-16, an ordinance authorizing the purchase of right-of-way property by the city of Troy, Illinois, parcel number 09122180000-000-003.
I'll entertain that motion.
I'll second.
Dan and Nate. Any questions from the council? Any questions from the public?
Location of this parcel?
0912218000003. All right, we have a first and second. Questions from the council? Questions from the public?
Just to state, it's over off of Formosa Road near where US 40 is. This is to allow the bike trail to go over US 40. Yep. No, you're good.
The bridge will be pretty fabulous when you come into town. I wish I could share a picture with y'all, but we don't have that, so.
Dawson?
Yes.
Flint?
Yes.
Hellrum?
Yes.
Henderson?
Yes.
Knoll? Sterling?
Yes.
Turner?
Yes.
7 yeses, 0 nos. Resolution 2026-04, a resolution of support and commitment of local funds.
That's reconstruction of Zinc Road from Oakwood Drive to Redbud Lane. I'll entertain that motion.
Second.
Troy? Questions from the council? Questions from the public? Yes, sir.
Time that's going to get started and finished.
Tom, time frame on that project?
I have to have the plans done by middle of February, and we're gonna bid it for construction to start in April-ish timeframe and be done by June.
Any other questions?
Dawson?
Yes.
Flint?
Yes.
Overrun? Yes. Henderson?
Yes.
Noel? Yes. Sterling?
Yes.
Turner?
Yes.
7 yeses, 0 nos. Resolution 2026-05, a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute a donation agreement with the Illinois Department of Transportation, parcel 80119005 along Illinois Route 162.
I'll entertain that motion.
I'll
Nate?
second.
Troy? Questions from the council? Questions from the public? Yes, ma'am. We're working diligently to get that roundabout in. I personally pulled some people out of a burning car there several years ago. And with the new Father McGivney, we've been working diligently to make that safer. We still have some hurdles, but we have the funding, we just have some land acquisition to do, and that's gonna happen. Any other questions from citizens?
Dawson?
Yes.
Flint?
Yes.
Calhoun?
Yes.
Henderson? Noel?
Yes.
Sterling?
Yes.
Turner?
Yes.
7 yeses, 0 nos.
Okay, now it's time everybody's been working on it. I appreciate your patience very much. We invite anyone to speak, come up to this podium and speak for up to 3 minutes. Please remind yourself we have to limit it to 3 minutes. With this many people, we can be here for about a week and a half. So hopefully state your concern. If it's a repeat, please accept our time statute. We want to hear from you, but we don't want to be here for a long period of time either, so there's that. Go ahead.
Nicole Jamison.
Wasn't planning on going first. I shortened my speech quite a bit. Mr. Mayor, I do appreciate your speech and the information that you provided tonight. That was helpful. Thank you. My name is Nicole Jameson. I live in Country Village. This is my second time speaking to this council on this issue, and my opinion has not changed. The data center is bad for Troy. You've heard all the reasons why. It sounds like you've done your homework, and I hope that you are leaning in the right way that your constituents would like you to. So, thank you very much.
Thank you, Nicole.
Natalie Rushing.
We have a signing list. How's that work, Fred?
Yeah, I mean, let's get through these folks first and see what we got.
All right. You can come up if you're gonna be last in line. Come late for dinner and get last in line. Go ahead, Adam.
Ready? Okay. My name is Natalie Rushing. I'm a longtime resident of Troy. Mayor Nani, you probably see my sister and I walking in Country Village in the mornings. I would like to echo what she has said. Most of my notes here have been scratched out because you did, we really appreciate you doing the notes ahead of time. Most of my questions were answered. Sorry, I'm gonna go through my scratch offs. All of the people in here love this town. Obviously, there's a big turnout for people who are interested and invested in this town as much as you guys are. We want to see Troy grow and thrive. We just don't want it to be at the expense of our families and our health and our churches, daycares, and neighborhoods. I understand the information about social media, but this turnout is because of social media that people found out about stuff. People were fired up about what was going on, and this a project of this scale. I mean, if it's front page news, maybe it goes to the Times Tribune or something, so that people have a way to find out about what's going on in town. I understand that stuff is posted into board minutes, but I mean, I wasn't even aware that it was out there. I know that's ignorance on my part, but maybe staying ahead of the social media posts would be helpful for some of the residents. I'm very pleased to hear that the data center is not going to be behind Bethel Baptist because of the proximity to my home, but also because of the churches and the church, the daycare, and the park. The plea for involvement should not fall on deaf ears. I think that it's great that the citizens are involved, and hopefully there can be a great turnout coming to more of the meetings. And I look forward to the proposal from Cloverleaf. I'm hopeful that it's turned down in the future as well. Thank you.
Craig Paul.
I'm Craig Hall. I live on 418 Bargraves Boulevard in Troy. I've been here about 22 years. I really like the town. It's close, centrally located to a lot of things, so it makes it a very good place to live. The data center itself, I am against, just so you know. From the pictures I've seen, from what you guys went and toured, or whoever went and toured, it looks a lot like an industrial facility. And putting something like that in our town is going to bring down property value just based upon the look of it. I mean, that right there is going to hurt property tax values. But at the same time, I get it. It's a big plus on revenue, but it's going to take away from the town at the same time. You're going to lose the interest of people wanting to come to this small community. Another thing you guys have not broached yet is if something like that was built in this town, it's a industry of sorts. What is to prevent them, because you talked about the closed loop cooling system, what is to prevent them in, say, 5 years to say we're having issues with it? Now we need a variance because we can't run it anymore. Now what are you going to do? You've already got that tax money in hand. You're not going to want to give that up to make that change. So that's things you need to start thinking about. Changes like that can happen in big industry overnight. I mean, yeah, it's not something that's going to happen right away, but it can happen. Thank you.
Craig, we appreciate that perspective. You know, anything we can learn tonight or different perspectives is wonderful. The more information, more input we have, the better off we are. The one thing that we would do if there was some kind of evolution in technology, whatever that may be, quantum computing, or whatever that may be, through special use, I believe that we require a decommission plan. So if there was something that superseded the technology of today, there would be a bonded, and I don't know how much money that would be. There'd be a bonded amount of money sitting for us to decommission that, and potentially put that into a park, senior citizen, a gym, basketball courts. We are planning for that eventuality. Is it finalized? No, but when people like you come up and speak, it really helps us kind of further our mental training as far as how we're going to deal with this. Thank you.
James Simmering.
First off, I'd like to thank all of you on the City Council for all you do for Troy and its citizens. I know it's a thankless job, but thank you for that. Good evening. My name is Dr. James Simmering. I'm a resident of Troy for 40 years. I live in the Meadowbrook subdivision. At the last meeting, we were told you're in a research phase, but flying officials to active sites and negotiating 13 simultaneous annexations isn't research. This is development. I'm here to continue your research. I'm entering into your record the Illinois Public Act 104-0458, Senate Bill 25. It's the Clean, Reliable Grid Affordability Act signed this last January 8th. I'm handing this to the data clerk. Because the council is truly researching the impact of this data center. You cannot ignore this law. It goes into effect on 1 June 2026. It was written specifically to protect the residents from the exact project you appear to be fast tracking. Please forward this to the planning committee for their perusal. Cloverleaf tells their investors their sites are shovel ready. This is per their website. They are researching us. They are waiting for us to fold. Section 129 of the law proves the state is worried about our grid. It mandates 3,000 megawatts of new battery storage to fix the drain data center's cause. Section 16-108 creates an affordability test to ensure that these projects don't hike our residential rates. Both protection takes effect on June 1st. By moving now, you will be helping the developer bypass the very laws designed to protect our pocketbooks and our power grid. The risks don't end on June 1st. If you truly want to protect our air quality, you will wait till December 1st. That's when the new stricter federal emission standards for backup generators take full effect. These standards require higher filtration and more rigorous monitoring for the dozens of industrial diesel engines that Cloverleaf plans to install. To approve any permits prior to December 1st is purposely grandfathering in older, dirtier technology. Due diligence means waiting for the state and federal government's best protections to take effect. If you move forward before June or before the December emission standards kick in, you're admitting this isn't a research, it's a race to beat the clock before the people of Troy get the legal protections we deserve. I ask that you pass a formal moratorium on permits and annexations until these dates pass. If Cloverleaf can't wait a few months for the laws to kick in, they aren't here to be neighbors, they're here to exploit a loophole. Please don't be the council that raced to beat a consumer protection law. Table the votes, wait for the protections. Thank you.
Doctor, thank you very much. I want to clarify one thing though. The 13 annexations for water are residential annexations for water. So what happens if you move...
13 annexations for water, it's checkerboarding for the data center.
That has nothing to do with the data center.
Okay.
But I do appreciate your comments, and we'll take that to heart. We want those kind of comments. But to explain to everybody how that works, if you are a new resident in Troy, you buy a house, you want Troy water, you have to sign a pre-annexation agreement. The citizens of Troy, it's about 10,800 or so by the census. The actual water service for us is about 16,000. So in an effort to get everybody on board, actually the city water is cheaper than the out of community water. We have a pre-annexation agreement. So if you move in Lanahan or Country Village or Shadow Woods or any of these subdivisions, you sign a pre-annexation agreement so that we can give you city water. But the rest of your point is taken very well. Thank you.
Joseph Smith.
Joseph Smith.
Hi, my name is Joe Smith. I've been a resident of Troy for about 30 years. And I'd just like to say, you sure know how to take the wind out of people's sails. Because I had a lot of stuff to say, but now I can't even say it. Because that one of the biggest things we were worried about is our community. We brought our kids here to grow up. We want to be in a safe environment. And when we saw what was going to come up, it was pretty tough. But I will tell you that when we saw Ann Bird's comments on social media, It was alarming because it seemed on face value to be kind of like, well, we got one over. So what I did was I sent Ann an email and I asked her to explain, and she sent me back a really nice email explaining everything fully. So you have nothing to worry about with her. So thank you very much.
We appreciate your comments. Shame on me for not getting this information out earlier, but we're in the process of collecting as much information as we can. What we really wanted to collect is numbers from the county, from everyone, so we could put actual numbers on the potential savings for our community. So we didn't want to put out a haphazard statement, and we still don't have those numbers. But we've got a deadline now, and we're going to be actively pursuing those numbers. We want to report back to you with good information. We want to get this matter settled. Thank you.
J. Carr.
Hold it. Good evening. Thank you so much. My name is Jay Carr, and I'm a pastor at Bethel Church. And so a lot of what I was going to say was in case you didn't say that you were not considering the location around us. So thank you so much. Thank you for hearing us. I really appreciate that. And that's incredible. And I still think it might be helpful just to have a little bit of biblical rationale for some of what we were thinking. And so I'll still share that because we know that this matter, like all matters, is in God's hands, and we hope that you know that too. I mean, the Bible says that you are God's servants for our good in Romans 13, as leaders in our community. So you are God's servants for our good, and it's appropriate then that you do that service in a way that's fitting with God's will. And so that has certain parameters. And this passage I want to read is directed to church leaders, but there's enough similarities I think it should also apply to y'all. So James 2:2-6 says, "For if a man wearing a gold ring and fine clothing comes into your assembly, and a poor man in shabby clothing also comes in, and if you pay attention to the one who wears the fine clothing, and say, 'You sit here in a good place,' while you say to the poor man, 'You stand over there and sit at my feet,' have you not then made distinctions among yourselves and become judges with evil thoughts? Listen, my beloved brothers, has not God chosen those who are poor in the world to be rich in faith and heirs of the kingdom, which he has promised to those who love him? But you have dishonored the poor man. Are not the rich the ones who oppress you and the ones who drag you into court?" So James is pointing out the temptation is for us to give preferential treatment to the rich because their money will be helpful to us. And I hope that you can see the relevance for this situation. The data center is much like that man wearing the gold ring and fine clothing coming into our assembly. And there's nothing wrong with him coming in. He's not the problem. The problem arises when we treat him better than others in the assembly who do not benefit as much financially. And this is essentially the age-old error of the ends justifying the means. And like we think, if we court that rich gentleman, then he'll give money and he'll make all of us better. He'll tithe, right, in the church world. And so I'm really serving the poor man by relegating him to the worst seat. And this is the faulty reasoning that James warns us of, that the ends justifying the means is a slippery slope that makes you slippery the more you slide down it. And this is the same reason we Christians are called to gentleness and respect when we express our differing opinions. And we're tempted to be harsh and disrespectful in order to be heard, but that's the same error of the ends justifying the means. And so I gently and respectfully ask that if we welcome these rich men, we do not do it with partiality toward them at the expense of others in the community that may not offer as much money. And I pray that God will give you the wisdom from above and that you will seek that wisdom. May God bless you all.
Dakota Morgan.
Good evening. I hope I make the 3 minutes. I do have a stutter, so I hope that I can fit within the time. But I was born and raised in Troy, proud graduate of this fine school. In my young adult life, I had moved out of town, out of state for school, for jobs, and a few years ago, my wife and I had a choice. Do we stay in the place that we had relocated in a community that we had loved, or do we move back to Troy? And here I am. Now, as luck would have it, the beautiful home that we had bought and now raise our 2 young girls who turned 2 years old on March 1st is within 1 mile of the original proposed site. So I'm glad to hear that it is no longer going to be there. Now, my major concern is my kid's health. One of my daughters has asthma, and last June she almost died in the ICU, and that's how we found out that she had asthma. So rest assured, if anything would be built like this near my home, I would need to move my family away from Troy, which I don't want to do. We love this town. We want to raise our girls here. I would encourage the folks that ultimately will make the choice that could change my family's lives forever to think about the people who are here. I apologize that we have not been as active as you would like, but we are here now. And while it is tempting, I'm sure, to think about what the revenue this could bring to Troy could be, I do not envy your seats right now, but I would encourage you to hear us in a time where a community sometimes can't seem to agree on almost anything. But we're here now, and we do not want this here. Please consider that we want to keep Troy. Thank you.
Nicholas Martin.
Well, again, my name is Nick Martin. I'm the head of school at Bethel Academy, and so I'm thrilled to hear that there is movement. As you can imagine, when our families and our teachers and our administrators and our volunteers found out about this proposal, and I don't even know what to call it at this point, this proposal, we were pretty shocked. We were shocked at how it encircled our building. We were shocked by kind of not feeling like we were caught off guard. But there was a commitment, and the commitment was to praying for each of you, to naming your name before the Lord, and to pray for you, pray for your safety, pray for your decision-making, praying for you as you look out for every interest in this town. And as Pastor Jay said, to not look out for the interests more highly that might be corporate interests that don't represent the values of the families that we have. And so while I'm thrilled to hear about the movement, the potential maybe new site that's maybe a little bit further south of RP Lumber would still be within kind of a 2 mile or a few mile radius of our building. And so as we look at that, as if that's even on the table or a proposal, I think we would have similar concerns. And so, but our commitment is to continue to praying for you, praying for the way in which you have to listen and hear the people that you represent. And so I would ask you to listen and hear as many have made their voices heard tonight, and for you to do what's in the best interest of our families that represents our values. Thank you.
Brenda Jones.
Good evening, council members and mayor. My name is Miranda. I'm a teacher at a daycare center that was originally, the original project was going to be about catty corner to the daycare. I'm here tonight to speak in opposition to this project. Our daycare serves over 100 young children. We intentionally place a strong emphasis on outdoor play, environmental awareness, and healthy development. Outdoor time is not just a preference for us. It's a crucial part of early childhood education. It supports physical health, emotional regulation, learning, and just overall well-being. Because of this, I am deeply concerned about the air, noise, and light pollution that a data center could introduce so close to where children are learning and playing every day. Data centers are known to rely on large generators, heavy equipment, we know all those things. Those will produce ongoing noise. For young children, constant background noise is not just an inconvenience. It can interfere with concentration, it increases stress, and it negatively impacts learning and development. Air quality is an even greater concern. Young children breathe more rapidly than adults and are more vulnerable to pollutants. Any increase in emissions from generators or supporting infrastructures possesses a real risk to their health, especially when we're spending extended amounts of time outdoors, which we encourage them to do. Something I haven't heard too much about until tonight was light pollution. Most data centers are lit 24 hours for security purposes. Our daycare has a small prairie that our children visit daily. It's home to our greenhouse, garden, and composting site. Most importantly, it's home to wild plants, insects, and small animals. Plants and animals depend on Earth's cycle of light from day to night to govern light-sustaining behaviors. And that will all negatively impact all those things in our little prairie. Our daycare works hard to teach children the importance of caring for the environment with gardening, recycling, spending time in nature, and learning respect for the world around them. Placing a large industrial facility within sight of their playground, it will no longer be in sight if it is in the other part, but other things will still affect it. It sends a conflicting message and it undermines these values that we work so hard to instill. I do understand the need for economical development, but development should not come at the expense of children's health, learning environments, or the well-being of families and educators who rely on these spaces every day. Our youngest residents, they can't advocate for themselves, and it's our responsibility as adults and leaders to protect them. Thank you.
Murphy.
Move this over here so you can hear me. My name is Mona Murphy. I live on Stratford Court. I've only been in Troy for about 3 years. I moved here because of all the rural and the small town feel, and it sounds like maybe that's all going to go away. Anyway, I've been doing a lot of research on data centers. I've been watching a lot of videos. I know the Cloverleaf CEO and co-founder had a video that said we would never, ever put a data center next to residents. So I'm not sure what happened or what's changed here, but, and I think it was just last year, in 2025, they made that video. So that's concerning. The other thing I haven't heard anybody talk about is what about all the mines that are underneath Troy? Because there's a constant noise and vibration. Is there any danger for the fact that we live on top of vacant mines? That there could be problems? Is that being addressed? Excuse me. And the deal that you're making, I guess the contract that you're signing is going to be with Cloverleaf, but they are not the end users. So how do you hold the end users, whoever that may be, later on down the road, to all the rules and regulations? And lastly, I guess, when the people from Troy went and interviewed people at other data centers, did you interview residents that live near those data centers or just the people that are trying to sell the data center? Because I've watched lots of videos and residents are not happy. Any of the data center residents that live near there. The noise, the vibration, the pollution, Property value goes down to zero. Nobody's going to want to buy your house if you have a data center next door. So I think this could be a very bad thing for Troy. And I would hate to have to move again already. Thank you.
The young gentleman over here want to speak, come on up.
Hi, my name's Tanner Durrell. I actually don't live in Troy yet. I plan on moving to Troy in June with my girlfriend. We plan on buying a house in June, right? So I got a lot of questions. I also have been reading a lot, and so I had a question about the $400 million in tax revenue that you said that could be coming from this data center. Are you aware that Illinois' compiled statute 605-1025, any data center that's built that is over $250 million of investments, which you said it would be like a $1 billion investment. Any data center that's over that limit would be exempt from the following taxes. It'd be exempt from the retailer's occupation tax, the use tax, the service use tax, and the service occupation tax. They're exempt from that for up to 20 years. So I just was wondering like how spread out is that $400 million in tax revenue going to come if they're exempt from numerous taxes, state and local, for up to 20 years. And then they're also, per 35 Illinois compiled statutes 5-229, they get 20% tax credit for the construction workers. So the construction that they're going to pay for, they get 20% of that back from the state. So it seems like a lot of the tax benefit is to Cloverleaf, not to us, just from that limited understanding. And then currently, can our power grid support the data center? I know that Mr. Lake, the property development manager for the data center, he said that he feels confident that rates would not go up, and he thinks that a 500 megawatt data center is best for Troy. Meanwhile, Bobby Williams, the CEO of Southwest, whatever the electric company is, he stated that our grid peaked at 116 megawatts, so that's almost 4 times more energy that the data center would be using on top of what we peak at in the summer. So I just don't know, is the grid currently, like, can the grid hold that power, the extra power pull from the data center? And then I wanted to talk about the new site. I know everybody was happy that it's not around the church anymore, which is great, but the next place it's moving to, there's also neighborhoods around Formosa Road and behind RP Lumber, and there's also a daycare there right next to, or behind American Fitness. I just don't think that, that's also not a viable spot when you think about all the residents there. I just want to know, like, how much do you guys talk to them about who the end user is? Like, that's a pretty big part, and the lady before me, forgive me, I forgot her name, but she did raise a good point. Like, you guys are going to sign a contract with Cloverleaf, so how do you know, like, the end user? Like, how do you get the end user involved in that commitment for all these, like, regulations that you want to put on them regarding, like, the water and stuff like that? And then the rest of my questions I just got, they should be more geared towards Cloverleaf, I guess, on Tuesday's meeting. But yeah, my big one is the tax. Like, all the tax benefit seems to be for the company, not for us. I was wondering where that $400 million would be coming from. That's all I got. Yep. That's all.
And just to be clear, it's not $400 million tax revenue. That is our EAV. And the way that works, that's about a third. We don't have those numbers. It's nothing near $400 million. When we get down the road and we're working with the county to acquire those numbers, it's been a long, twisted road. But we're doing our best to actually get actuals so that we can give people actual numbers. The infrastructure question is the end user, our Cloverleaf, would be responsible for the infrastructure upgrades. So it's all through the ICC, and it's a very complicated equation, but if you want to bring an entity like that to a community, you are responsible to get the power there. and there's a MISO power grid. So it basically goes from Minnesota down to Texas, and we're in that MISO grid. So to get permission to have that big of a draw, you have to go through MISO and Ameren, and they've got to get permission from the actual grid that they have enough power to supply that to. So it's complicated. I mean, most people here have never dealt with anything like this, and we're learning as we go, but it's not 400 million. I appreciate it, because I was in the same boat as you. When I first started this, I'm like, man, these big numbers, what do they all mean? And through my administrator, Jay, and a lot of homework, we've kind of narrowed that down, and we will continue to do that. But the $400 million is not what we would actually get. The city of Troy's budget is about $12 million. Now, what we would receive from that at full build out is we would get a little over $4 million in utility tax. So for having that here, we would get a utility tax, which is an attractive thing. Does it compensate everybody's concerns? No. We still have to work through that whole thing, but I just wanted to clarify that for you. I don't want any more disinformation getting out there. We're going to give you as accurate information as we can, as quick as we can, and we'll make a decision as quick as we can. And we're going to get this whole thing settled as quick as we can. And I appreciate the heck out of everybody coming out. It makes me feel good that you guys are this concerned about our community. That's why I've lived here for 50 years. And I'm not planning on leaving. And the lady who just moved here, we don't want you to leave either. We want you all to stay. So there's that.
Can I speak just really quickly? I'll be
Yes,
really
ma'am.
fast. Okay. Hi, my name is Robin Chomko, and I have lived in Troy for 22 years, raised 16 children here. I live probably a mile from either site, so I'm definitely not in favor. I have a medically fragile daughter who was adopted from China. She has 17% lung function. We would definitely need to move if you located the data center here in Troy, because I don't think she could survive it. We also have several other medically fragile adopted children, so we're not in favor of it. I love everything you had to say, but I still have one serious concern that I hope you can address, and it's an article that was in the St. Louis Business Journal. And the St. Louis Business Journal was talking about the Granite City site, but it's also in Illinois, and they were talking about a law about zoning, where if the land is zoned for a data center, and the people selling the land are willing to sell, that the city council cannot do anything to stop it. Did you read that article or see that article, and what do you have to say about
I've
that?
not seen that article, but the property in question is not zoned for it would be I-1 or I-2, and that's not, I'm correct with that, right, Jay?
Yeah, that's the ordinance that we put in place requires I-2 zoning. There's no parcel in the city of Troy that's big enough that's zoned I-2. If the zoning does change and they do have a 150 or 200 acre campus, that's where the mayor was talking about that special use permit. Data center could only come via special use permit. And I can give you an example how that has worked in the past. We have one cannabis retail shop, and it's on the north side of 162 by the interstate. That was done under an ordinance that said it could be only in industrial zoning, and it could only be done by special use permit, so that the city could list all the requirements. And again, there's a lot of great information that came out tonight. Matter of fact, I spoke to the doctor before he left, because I want to get some of the information that he's talking about for future laws that are going to come in place, to see if that makes sense, that if they are going to come in place anyway, we want those protections here as well.
It
So
does.
there's two things. The zoning has not been done yet, and we don't have a parcel big enough that even if they bought an I-2 zoning, but even if we did, they still have to come through the planning commission and then eventually to the city council with a special use permit that can be, and I've seen it done before with our planning commission, where they said, this is the requirement to build in this zoning, but we also want more distance for our barns. We also want a tree line or fence line that kind of shelters, because the neighborhood was concerned about seeing the facility. So with the special use, that gives the city complete control, if they decide to move forward with it, complete control over everything from lighting to sound to utility usage. Electricity, we don't control, we don't provide electricity. My understanding, and again, we're all learning this new as well, as far as electricity goes, they're not allowed to build unless this MISO grid, which covers 15 states, and it actually goes a little bit into one of the provinces in Canada. If that grid says they can't build, then they can't build. The issue being, if it goes anywhere on that grid, it impacts everybody in that grid. So if it builds in one of 15 states, it can impact everybody on that particular grid. I do know from the power perspective that the Southwestern Electric, which supplied power to the original site, which is now not going to move forward, or where they were originally wanting their site to be, because we saw those plans the same day that you guys saw them. We just saw them a couple hours before. But we knew they were looking at that site. I just didn't know if they had an agreement with the landowner. But Southwestern Electric told them that they can supply that amount of power. And matter of fact, Southwest thought their CEO said that he thought that buying that much, because that would be 10 times the power that all of their customers use right now. So he would be out there buying in a bigger block. He said in our planning commission that data center or no data center, rates are going to go up within the year or at 2027. So I guess now within the year, it's going to go up 40% just because he's trying to buy energy now, and the best prices he can get is 40% higher than where we're at. So he's saying that our energy prices are going to go up either way, no matter what. So
what I hear you saying is that the zoning, we don't have anything that's properly zoned for a data center so that the state could come in and say, you as Troy City Council have no say, because the land is already zoned and the people want to sell it, so there's nothing you can do.
Correct.
Is that correct?
Yes,
Okay.
we have some I-2 zoning in the city, but nothing large enough to house the data center.
Okay.
So there's a couple steps that would have to happen for them. Number one, their property would have to be in the city, or we don't control it. So if it was outside the city, we would have to annex it for them to be able to develop it in Troy. Now, if it was outside the city, completely outside it, and they didn't want city water, they had their own source of water, because that's the only reason somebody would annex in if they didn't want to annex in, is because we provide water. They would have to annex in, would be the first step. If it's already in the city, then it would have to be zoned I-2. And after that, and that's a public hearing as well, and we make notification of that, then it would have to go before planning commission for special use to say, these are the things the city would require you to do if we were to allow that. So it would be at least a two-step process, if not a three, but there is nothing I-2 which would tell me now. I don't know of any situations where the state can come in and say, you must rezone this parcel for this, but there's nothing right now that is large enough within the city that's zoned I-2.
Okay, thank you so much.
If I could ask the last two speakers, and we have one more we're going to allow to speak here, before you leave, sign into our log so we have your information. Everything's recorded in the minutes, so we want to make sure we have accurate minutes. So if you don't leave for you.
Signed up to speak.
I'm sorry?
There are a lot of people signed up to speak that have not spoken.
We don't have that.
You don't have it?
We've all signed in.
I signed it.
Who all, we need to raise hands who's signed it. So, we won't hear you. So, one at a time, we need to have you sign in.
We're all signed in. You must have skipped a page.
We need to sign in. I'm sorry, we have something. Is there another sheet over there?
Is that?
That's fine.
Take it. Okay, we just had that on the wall. You sit on that table, sir. I appreciate it and everything you find people. Yeah, thank you. Oh, my bad. My apologies. Who's next? All right. All right, next up, Justin Mattea.
Well, a lot of what I was going to say has been taken up by a bunch of really smart people before me, so I'm going to try and streamline what I was going to say. First off, Bethel Baptist, if you're still here, I hope you pray for all the residents who are going to be near this new location. It's been suggested because there are a lot of people who live right there off Spring Valley Road. I don't think everybody fully understands that there are 3 stops along the way to get this passed. The first stop is with the city administrator attracting business to the town. The second step is going through the planning commission. And the third step, it's the end of the line that goes to the city council. The city council, we're still in step 1. So all the people up here in the city council haven't seen anything, haven't had any votes. So we should all give them a lot of time and a lot of air to breathe. The history of Troy. For all of us who know Troy, know that for years it was known as the truck stop town. I think we've shed that moniker. I think everybody thinks of us as a nice, vibrant bedroom community with an excellent school district. I don't think that we want to become known as the data center town. When you open the door to a data center, you will see all over the country that it won't be the only one. We will end up with numerous data centers, and that's what we will know. Well, that's what everybody will know us as. So I'd say regardless of location, regardless of promises, and regardless of money, when this process ends at the final stop with the city council, we really hope that they send clover leaf packing. Thanks.
Matt Marshall.
Hello, everybody. Got a little taller. Sorry. Let's do it that way. Sorry, I'm an AV guy, so I'm like, I gotta be close to the mic. So my name is Matthew Marshall. I am the president of Go Therefore, which is an IT consulting firm, and our mission is to equip small businesses and nonprofits with tech so that they can fulfill their mission. And specifically, my company helps these organizations use cloud services and AI tools to do what they do better. I'm an expert at these matters. But I also love Troy, I love the community, I also love and serve at Bethel Church. I obviously have a lot of conflicting thoughts about the proposal and all of that. And I'm very grateful for your remarks. That gives me a lot of assurance, so thank you. But I do want to use my time to maybe act a little bit as an expert and introduce maybe a matter that requires some consideration, and the matter is pocket compute. So the computers are getting faster, and they're getting faster every year. And with some of the recent discoveries, is this better? Yeah, okay. I started to do the thing that everyone does with the microphone. So computers are getting faster, and they're getting faster every year. And with some of the recent discoveries of generative AI, the entire tech industry is pivoting to accelerate the advent of useful AI services. While there's a ton of conjecture about what AI will and will not do for us, there is one thing that's certain, and that's it started this gold rush for compute. So this need for compute has resulted in an aggressive campaign to build data centers everywhere. And I think we're all pretty familiar with that. But very few of us realize that there's already like a mountain of this gold that's already with us. It's in our homes, it's in our backpacks, it's in our pockets, it's literally even on my wrist. So when most people think about how AI works, they think of a data center where they send off the requests for processing with an app. However, people have been using AI in the palm of your hand for years now. Every time you use Siri, every time you take a picture, every time you unlock your phone, even every time you swipe the screen, your devices are performing millions to billions of AI compute operations in order to make that experience smooth. And the device manufacturers are adding more and more of this power every year to these devices. And I think that this year could be the year of a giant leap from the cloud to the pocket. So I wanted to show you a super quick demo. You're not gonna be able to see it, but it's more about the point. So this is an app on my iPad. I have a prompt in there, hitting send. It is currently processing an AI prompt, and it's generating a response. But unlike pretty much every app everyone's using for that, this is being entirely processed on my tablet. No cloud at all. The generation of the model required the cloud, but not the execution. So, I'm able to run some of the same models I'm able to run the models that OpenAI and Google and others have released on my own hardware. They work on my Mac, they work on my iPad, they even work on my phone. And it already works on yours. So the problem is, it's like a software issue right now. But that software is being written as we speak to make this more accessible. And soon, like really soon, it'll be here. So, my initial questions were, what happens when the need for cloud compute changes? And what happened to these data centers? And your remarks on the decommissioning, I forget the word for it, the bond or whatever the rule was on that. That's great, because that helps assuage what would happen if this data center somehow did become irrelevant. And I work in tech. I don't think data centers are going to become irrelevant overnight necessarily. But I do think there's a bit of this gold rush, and I do think there might be a little bit of coming back on that. These devices already have a lot more capability than we even know, and it's going to get better every year. So, basically, I'm glad to hear that we have a plan if this falls through, in the sense of it becoming obsolete. But unfortunately, I didn't totally finish my conclusion. But do you guys have any questions from you guys about AI or how this kind of works?
I got a million questions, but I'm sure you'll have time to answer them all.
I can make some time.
Well, call me at the office there, and we can sit down and talk.
Yeah,
Love to know anything you can tell me. We need to acquire as much information as possible.
Yeah. Sounds good. Thank you very much. I am at the question.
Hi, my name is Kathy. My family has lived in Troy for 5 generations. I'm hoping it won't be the last. I'm going to touch on 2 different things. First, there was someone who adamantly argued in favor for the data center and pointed to the closest one in DeKalb, stating that their data proved it was beneficial and there was no arguing the data. As it happens, I have a cousin in DeKalb, so I reached out to her to ask about her experience. This is what she had to say. I haven't seen any tax relief. Our electric bills are sky high. Lots of traffic, lots of trucks. DeKalb has become a rough town, period. The data center hasn't helped improve the economy from my standpoint. Second is the following timeline, and this comes from the FOIA. A lot of this has been answered, but this is pre-written, so we're going to go ahead and move forward in case anybody didn't know. In March of 2025, Cloverleaf representatives met in person with the City of Troy officials to discuss a data center. This is the earliest point reflected in the documents that have since been released where that conversation happens. Residents didn't yet know that these conversations had started. In April and May of 2025, emails show Cloverleaf discussing power, land, and zoning as part of the data center development process. In one email, the developer described this type of project as, quote, typical story, on hold, then moving very quickly. referring to how these projects usually unfold once key pieces are in place. By August of '25, draft data center zoning language was being reviewed. Things like noise, cooling systems, and site design. Emails show a data center developer providing feedback on that draft language. People still hadn't been told that a data center was being considered. So at what point should the residents be included in this process? Thank you.
Leslie Snyder.
Hello, I'm Leslie Snyder. We are actually on our second stint of residency in this town. We were here originally in about 1993 when we were military. And once we got out, we decided to come back to this town because of what we saw when we were here earlier. I'm going to continue. I have a couple of thoughts just off of what others have said to date. And I encourage the community because it does seem that there's a secondary site in focus. So from the community standpoint, don't forget about the other members of Troy who this will impact, even if it only moves a mile or 2 miles away. Somebody is going to get impacted. So continue to come and support. For the council, I'm just wondering, have you ever considered streaming these meetings so people can attend, even if they have kids at home? So they can see, they can view these meetings the next day so they can keep up to date a little bit easier. I think that's a huge thing. Many communities do stream their meetings and then they post them on YouTube. If you go out to YouTube and just type in City Council, you'll see 1 million of them. So that would really facilitate more involvement, which I think is what you want. Last, I would like to echo the doctor's encouragement of a moratorium on any data centers until those environmental protections or whatever other protections he had spoke about are in place. Now, just a couple of things to continue on the FOIA request, Freedom of Information emails that were put out. In October, there was multiple questions put forward by Ann to Cloverleaf. Have we gotten any questions, any of those answers back on the specific project specifications? Those questions were also brought up numerous times during the January 8th zoning meeting. And Cloverleaf, who was in attendance, couldn't answer them. So I'm just curious if any of those questions regarding water usage, I know you had mentioned something, but there was a whole host of questions in terms of specifications of what this facility would put forth in terms of exposure to the town. And then also, at the November Planning Commission meeting, there was a public hearing on the data center ordinance that was passed. And one of the minutes, in the minutes from that hearing, under the comments of petitioner and or representative, it states, no petitioner or applicant was present as this is a city-initiated ordinance. However, we also saw within those emails many references back and forth with Cloverleaf, which it appeared, I'm not going to say I understood them completely, but it appeared to me that Cloverleaf was providing red line edits or input in terms of specifications within the zoning regarding decibels, regarding a 200-foot setback from residential properties, 200 feet. I'm not sure that really protects the citizens. I think that's another area which could be strengthened greatly in that zoning ordinance. And last, and I don't think that really represents a good independent ordinance that protects the citizens also. Okay? And again, it's just facilitating the community's knowledge. We want to be aware. Nobody was aware. We can't argue that. So in terms of some of these moves that have been taken to date, when should the citizens become involved? Not in the last ditch effort. They should be up to date throughout. So that's just keeping us involved. We want to be involved, clearly. We're here. Hopefully, we will continue to be involved. And, my opinion is no data centers, period. But again, take it to a vote. It's a majority rule. Nobody loses, nobody's to blame. The people vote. That's all I have. Thank you very much.
How y'all doing? I appreciate y'all doing what you're doing for the town. I really don't want to be in y'all's shoes right now. Unfortunately, I had a lot to talk about. She really stole my thunder. But I do want to talk and touch on something about those emails that came out that I had read through and looked in. And you did touch on Ann's a little bit, and that was a very concerning statement as a resident of this town. My question is kind of, why would you even phrase something like that if you're for the town, not for the company wanting to bring in a data center? Their responses of fantastic, great news, Ann. That's amazing news. I think you can see why that created such a stir in the community, okay? And I don't know Ann from anybody. I'm sure you're a great person. I got to go off the face value of what I see. It's just very concerning about the transparency that has been talked about. When you go through all the FOIA data and you find the timeline and how nothing was spoken to a citizen in the least bit, and it does seem like cloak and dagger kind of behind the scenes kind of stuff. Granted, we only have a handful of emails to go off of. But that's not the transparency that Cloverleaf and the city of Troy is touting that they're doing, okay? My major issue is got to do with this as well. Cloverleaf had a huge part in drafting this ordinance pack. You can tell by the emails. Granted, it was a third party, okay? But it's a third party that Cloverleaf brought to the game, okay? Basically, we let the wolf convince the guard dog to take a break and let them guard the sheep. That's what I see here. This needs to be much, much stronger with much, much further setbacks and coverages to make it not even enticing for anyone to even want to come to Troy to put in a data center. But thank you all very much. You seem to be going towards the direction we all want. I haven't heard really one person that's for this. So thank you very much for your time.
I would ask everyone to read that ordinance and judge for yourself. I feel like that ordinance has a lot of teeth in it. And through special use, we've added another layer of teeth. So I appreciate what you're saying. I appreciate your perspective because, I may have come to the same conclusion. But I can assure you, we're not letting data centers write ordinances for us. Was there some communication? Yeah, because they were worried. They were worried, well, what did we got to put in here? They're all answering, yeah, that's great, whatever, but please read that. I mean, it's a very good ordinance, I feel. I think it gives us a lot of strength in this situation. But I really appreciate you coming up. And you need to hear from people like you.
Derek Ramert.
Mr. Mayor, City Council. Mr. Mayor, I gather you're not a fan of Facebook. Well, look, I think, and I know you and I have had conversations in the past, and we're probably not seeing eye to eye very often. I think one thing you can acknowledge from Facebook is we, for the first time ever in a new light, got to see what tiny town we have behind us. Look at the people that have shown up, and tell me, have you ever seen this before? For the City Council, I've reached out to all of you. Most of you are willing to talk to me, and I understand you guys have busy schedules, probably not everybody can get back to me. all of you that I spoke with were respectful. You gave me your time. We may have not seen eye to eye, or we did see eye to eye, but every one of you gave me your time, and I appreciate that. And I encourage that from everybody else. They will give you the time. They want to hear from you. I started contacting them early on, and they stressed how they wanted to hear from their constituents, how they wanted people to show up, and people have shown up. So I think you and I can agree on that tonight. Probably a little more unpopular, but continuing from the Freedom of Information Act, on December 12th, the city administrator emailed a representative from Google saying that Troy was interested in welcoming data centers, and they attached a recently passed resolution. To quote it, it says, as we discussed, the city of Troy, Illinois is interested in welcoming data centers to our area, and we would love to work with Google should the opportunity arise. Now, locally, most of us are trying to understand that ordinance and the intent behind it. On December 15th was the first time that I got up and I spoke to the council. I raised concern that the language of the ordinance gave the impression that data centers were being anticipated or invited. As part of my comments that day, I stated that residents deserve clear answers to basic questions. What sites are being considered? What zoning changes or incentives are being discussed? And what strain this will put on utilities and infrastructure. The response that day was that the ordinance was created to protect the city without limiting up view limits. It was also stated the process to be transparent. Look, I share his concerns. After those FOIA documents were later released, it looks like that the developer has been helping out shape those ordinances. Do I think data centers are being welcome at the time? I do from some people. I don't know from all of you. Again, city council, you guys were very nice to speak to. And you admitted you didn't have all the answers at that time, but you wanted to hear from the constituents. I think you've heard from the constituents. And whether they're being welcomed at that time or not, I think you've heard from the people that they're not welcome. And again, I'll close on that. I'll take this ordinance. We've been reading online. Happy to take a physical copy. But I encourage everybody in the room, as we've always said, to keep your voice heard, but stay respectful, stay engaged. You know, these people have had to deal with a lot, probably in the past month. But you got to see how nice they are in listening to you, and hopefully you got to see how nice the citizens really are, because I don't think any of you have heard from them this much and this loud until this point. And I think we can all appreciate that.
I appreciate your civil conversation. That's awesome. I just want to clarify a couple of things. Jay's job is to bring industry development to town, per my instruction. Then it goes through planning, and it goes to the council, and ultimately you guys decide what we do and do not take. You know, when we start talking about big numbers and the big projects we have ahead of us, sewer plant, water plant, the $100 million worth of schools, his job is to put that on the table for us, and he's done a great job of that. You know, we as citizens and planning and aldermen will take that to the next level and decide if that's healthy and that's exactly what we want. But everyone, Ann and Jay both have done exactly what I've directed them to do. Again, the minutes and board docs, please get involved with that. I think that's going to answer a lot of your questions and a lot of your transparency concerns. But thank you for your little speech there. Appreciate you.
Bernitius.
Hi, I'm Matt Reginus. I spoke 2 weeks ago. My wife and I own Canine Social of Troy, just out in front of RP Lumber, and we also live off of Spring Valley. So either one of these locations would significantly impact us. Very opposed to it. I want to start first by acknowledging I did reach out and spoke to several aldermen and echo the comments. Very respectful conversations. Really appreciate your efforts and discussions. Mayor, appreciate your comments as well. You have all done a great job in developing the city. I totally understand and respect Jay's job is to bring in development to the city. Nobody, I'm sure there's a couple, that have complained about a Starbucks and a Plain Cake, except everybody's entitled to that view, but overwhelmingly people support that. This type of project is just on a totally different scale, right? And so what other communities have done is ask for 60 days to hear things out, or 6 months to hear things out, get some folks involved. Going back into some of these emails on this ordinance, I have read the ordinances, and I understand that they are written at the beginning to protect Troy. But if you really start to dissect some of them and go back through the emails that are out there between the city and the developer and start to connect the dots, obviously the developer is putting forth some of these proposals to help this get through. It's very obvious. Common sense, right? What concerns me is a couple of these things. One, the distance between where a data center can go and a residential property line is 200 feet. That's like back there. Back there, 200 feet out your back door, you want to have a data center? That's ridiculous, right? 100 feet. 100 feet from any other property line. Obnoxious. That's not protecting anybody there. That is for the developer. The noise levels. They approved 70 decibels. There's some back and forth chatter. I'm sure there was a lot of discussion. In their presentation, it's in this email, it's all color-coded with red and yellows and greens and blues. 70 decibels is described by the developer in their chart as loud. Loud. Why would you want 70 decibels loud right next to where you live forever? It never ends. It's like running a vacuum. A vacuum cleaner is 70 decibels, give or take. Forever. Never, ever, ever ending. 200 feet away from your house. Totally unacceptable. We need stronger ordinances. I understand these were written to protect. They need to be strengthened. It's not 200 feet from a house. Way longer. 5,000 feet. 500 feet. Whatever. But way, way further. The decibel levels need to be revisited. We need to bring in a professional to help guide this council in what the ordinances should be. This is a $1 billion project. The people that are helping this developer and they're engaging and having conversations, they are professionals. This is what they do. We need to have our own professional help guide us in a very, very complex project. We have those ordinances and we'll submit those to the city council members. I'll share those around after the meeting. But appreciate the time and again, appreciate all of the effort of this council. Thank you.
Jackie Royer.
I'm shorter than the rest of these folks. And thanks, Matt. Jeez, doing such a great job. Now I gotta lead off after that. All right, hang on, let's see if I can get this out. I cannot. Okay, hi, I'm Jackie Royer, and I live behind this high school. So I listen to marching band practice in the mornings, and I listen to high school football games. It's the only fireworks my daughter likes, because we're distanced. So yeah, I'm local. I'm a Henning parent. My daughter is 7 and I lead her Girl Scout troop. So I'm here to represent the slightly older kids, so to speak, than the folks that you heard from before with the littles. Our kids had some opinions. My daughter wanted to come talk to you. I said, give it 5 years and then we'll talk. But a few things I want to talk about, really, that a lot of the things I had written down have been covered, but you guys mentioned numbers. So you want some numbers? I got some numbers. I have 14 brownies who would provide you lots of reasons they don't want a data center, like the vacuum noise constantly. I don't want it. If we put this in the new proposed location, that puts it closer to here, which is closer to my house, so I do not love that. But let's talk specific numbers. As Matt said, these things run 24/7, 365 days a year, and they need 99 point some obscene decimal uptime, which basically means we cannot shut them up ever, and that is by design. If they don't meet their criteria, and they'll lose their ability to hold the clients, and then we'll have an empty data center. So either way, that's not good. That means they're running these diesel generators, and I gotta be honest, all the research I've done, University of Michigan has a great paper out there, and everything shows that, to be honest, the Cloverleaf folks like to hire PR people to talk to you, and they tell Jay all these rosy things, they tell the mayor beautiful things, but actual studies show that emissions from those generators, here come the numbers, 662% higher than what they provide you data-wise. That is what independent studies show. Independent studies show that residents are going to see energy bills of at least $40 or more per month in addition to their current bills. That's what they're seeing in Georgia and Virginia, and that's before the whole thing gets really deep. A couple of other numbers for you. So when Cloverleaf and other companies come in, like they did in Memphis, and that's the X facility, one of Elon Musk's things, he has the Colossus in Memphis. He made everybody in the city sign NDAs, and then he snuck in some illegal gas-driven, hold on, let me get the exact word right, somebody say it wrong. He brought in these gas turbines, and they're emitting 79% greater nitrogen dioxide, which for all those folks with asthma, this is no good. We do not want that. So these are just a few of the numbers. A couple more numbers I want to throw out there for you. We've heard a lot about taxes, but that's not what the studies are showing. They're showing, as somebody mentioned earlier, that the tax breaks go to the corporation and not to us, that we're not going to really see that revenue for a long time. In fact, it's showing that we provide $2 million in tax breaks for every job that is actually permanent at a data center. $2 million. How many years would that person have to work to put $2 million back into the tax system? How many houses would they have to buy in Troy? That's a lot. That's a lot of houses. So the other thing I just want to throw out there, and then I have one more number for you. I promise numbers, and I'm going to deliver. Cloverleaf has been turned away by a lot of communities. Wisconsin does not love them. Greenleaf, Wisconsin said go away. Carlton, Wisconsin said go away. But they like to talk about Port Washington. They say that's their big success story. But Port Washington citizens are angry. They have filed multiple legal challenges, and they're trying to recall their mayor. I do not want us here in Troy to be in that situation. I do not want all of you in that situation. I do not trust Cloverleaf. I do not trust them at all. I trust you, I don't trust them. That's a big deal. I think they're good. Okay, so I have two more numbers and then I'm done. First number I have for you. We were on a phone call recently with some folks from across the state of Illinois, and there was a young lady on there. She's going to get us some documentation for you as well. Her family farm was appraised several months before a data center started moving into her town. And then the data center came in and they decided, we don't want to be here, we're not going to farm. They tried to sell and their property values dropped by 35%. When ground had just broken, and they're not even able to sell some of their plots. I worry big time about that piece. I worry for all of us. A lot of houses are near these proposed sites, and frankly, I don't know about you, I don't want to move. I've heard several people say they don't want to move. We've only been here 3 years, but I like it. I want to stay. I will say, I love the 30-day limit. Let's keep the pressure on them. They put a lot of pressure on you and on all of us. Let's push it back. If they really want to do this, they better come in with something amazing and lots of way better numbers. Thank you.
Hi everyone. My name is Morgan Hermanson and I am a resident of Troy. I have a business in Maryville, and I have a 7-year-old daughter who goes to Henning Elementary School with Jackie's daughter. So I wanted to talk a little bit about, in general, corporations. And a data center is a corporation. Its purpose is to make AI. And what uses AI the most? Corporations. Not us, like they want to tell you. And why do corporations need AI? Because AI is cheap labor. So let's talk about jobs. What kind of jobs will be available for the community? Temporary jobs in the beginning. And once the data center is built, very few permanent jobs. So I wanted to know, how many permanent jobs will there really be? I've learned about 20 or 30 jobs. I've read about 50 to 100 in the newspaper. So what should we believe? Not data salespersons like Cloverleaf. Not politicians who get their information from salespeople like Cloverleaf. Not PR firms hired by Cloverleaf. We should believe in ourselves. We have made very large investments in Troy, and we're not willing to invest in data centers. So what else can we be certain of as residents in Illinois? Taxes. And who pays the taxes? The citizens, hard-working people like us. So I did some actual research into data centers. And I found a new law, like a younger gentleman had spoken about, was written in 2025. It's the Data Center Investment Act. So what investment towards employees must they make? A data center must employ at least 20 people. So what do you think the data center is going to do? Create more jobs out of kindness? Or only what the law requires? There's another important investment that we should know about in this law. A data center must spend at least $250 million on its buildings and operations, so itself. But where is that investment not going to go? Not towards a new electric grid, not building a new water treatment plant, not funding our schools because it's the right thing to do. The main benefactor of a data center is a data center, big tech corporation. No work for the locals and no investments for the community. Those are not the requirements. We have made large investments to live here, and we're asking for that to be protected. Mayor Nahn and council members, please say no to data centers. Not in Troy, not in Madison County. Thank you.
Christina Hyman.
Hi, I'm Christina Hyman. I'm not going to talk about data centers. I can give you a break for a minute. Good evening, Mayor, members of the Troy City Council, city staff, neighbors, and friends. My name is Christina Hyman, and I'm the owner of Troy Car Care. I'd like to begin by sincerely thanking the City Council and city staff for allowing us the opportunity to open our auto repair shop here in Troy, Illinois. Your support of small, locally owned businesses truly matters, and we are incredibly grateful to be welcomed into this community. When we decided to open Troy Car Care, we didn't just see a building or a business opportunity, we saw a responsibility. Reliable transportation is essential to everyday life. Families depend on their vehicles to get to work, to school, and safely home at the end of the day. Our mission is to provide honest, high-quality auto repair in a place where customers feel respected, informed, and never pressured. We built Troy Car Care on transparency and trust. That means clear communication, accurate diagnostics, and taking the time to explain what a vehicle needs, and just as importantly, what it doesn't. We want our customers to feel confident when they leave our shop, not overwhelmed. And I'm also proud to share that Troy Car Care is now an official Napa Auto Care Center. The designation reflects nationally recognized standards for quality, training, and customer service. It also allows us to offer a nationwide warranty honored at thousands of Napa Auto Care locations across the country, giving our customers peace of mind whether they're driving across towns or state lines. We're locally owned, veteran-owned, locally staffed, and deeply invested in Troy. That means creating local jobs, supporting other small businesses, and giving back to the community wherever we can. We plan to be here for the long haul, growing alongside the city and serving our neighbors with integrity. To the residents here tonight, thank you for the warm welcome. We invite you to stop by Troy Car Care, meet our team, ask questions, and get to know us. Even if you don't need repairs right now, we're here to be a trusted resource for this community. Once again, thank you to the Troy City Council for believing in a small business like ours. We're honored to be a part of Troy, proud to serve as a Napa Auto Care Center, and excited to support this community for many years to come. Thank you for your time and your support.
Nancy Sanders.
Nancy, are you out there?
Bob Ramsey.
My name is Bob Ramsey, and I live with my wife here in Troy, and I have never been to a data center before in my life. I have no idea, really, how noisy they are, how abusive they are. Everything I've learned about data centers, I've learned from this meeting tonight and from Facebook. And it's a little hard to trust Facebook. And I find it a little bit hard to trust governments too. But I want to. Everything's been said that I want to say except for one thing, and I'd like to all of us do a thought experiment for just about 10 seconds. If there was no revenue, if there was no promise of money, if there was no tax base and no money rolling in, would we still choose a data center? Is it like a park? A beautiful park that would be good for our community? Or is it like a sports thing like Edwardsville did? A sports center where it's good for our kids? Is it like that? Or has no redeeming quality of its own, it's just the money?
Chad Volkamp? Chad, out there?
Victor Bernitius.
Victor? That's it. Quick double check. Everybody being able to speak. Anybody? Come on up. Mayor? Yes, sir.
I'd like to make I signed up 2 weeks ago online.
All right, come on up. You can go first. You're up. You're in line. Come on up.
Good evening, everyone. I appreciate you being here tonight. Thank you for having us. I got here late. It was a long day. A couple kids at home, 12, 7, here in the schools in Troy. Is there anyone here from Cloverleaf? Okay, so that answers the first question. Some of you may have seen, my name is Ken Jackson, by the way. Some of you may have seen some of my emails coming around. I emailed Cloverleaf. They were very, very responsive when I first introduced myself as an IT professional and project manager. The second I became critical of their responses, they ceased all communication. I tried to copy every single person from the city of Troy's government on my responses. I got no responses after I became critical of Cloverleaf. Now, as I said, I'm an IT project manager. I've managed projects inside small, compared to this, very, very small data centers. government data centers. And they grow exponentially when you start talking about this size and scale of a data center. I can't give details because of the nature of the work, but there's a data center in the city that is a room about this size. And it consumes, because of, and I say the city of St. Louis, it is capped at just over 200 kilowatts. That's a fraction of what we're talking about here in Troy. And what I was really hoping the code would be here to answer is what equipment they are talking about putting in this building. The power consumption that they're asking for, is it full capacity? What kind of equipment is it? Because if it's not full capacity and the size that they are asking for this footprint to be does not tell me that it is a full capacity proposal, which tells me in the future they are probably going to come back and say they need more power, they need more water, and they are going to increase the outputs of the negative things that this town is worried about. I will cede the floor at this point and thank you, and I hope you all have something to think about. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. I believe you all have my email address and phone number. Have a good night.
Mr. Mayor, City Council, thank you for seeing me. Mr. Dawson, thank you for returning the one phone call through my alderman, who's the only one who responded back to me. I have actual facts that these people will need to know. Most of these plans and designs are done in industrial parks. I have no problem to understand that the city of Troy needs to expand in order to grow. I have no problem with that whatsoever. But you need to design an industrial park and place it in some place like that so that the farmers, the neighborhoods are not imposed by any such nature. Most of these places, they're designed to be shaped like a U, like a horseshoe. So all that sound gets pushed out that opening. So you have to watch where they're going to decide to wind up putting this place. In the original plans, there was no place for them to really go. They could design it in a closed box per se to try to limit the sound. Those fences that they put around there are anywhere from 15 to 20 foot tall vinyl fencing. They can add absorption material to it to absorb the sound. That has to be put on by the developer. The generators, I'm thinking we're talking a 300-acre parcel, roughly was what the original plan was. So that's roughly 250 football fields. Some of those retention ponds that's going to be holding that cooling water that they actually put forever chemicals in. They put PFAS in. They put in HFOs in, HCFOs, which are hydrofluorocarbons and things along those lines to cool the chips. All that water is going to get evaporated somehow. It's going to go out into the neighborhoods. It's going to go out into the daycares, the neighborhoods, the retirement communities from around there. I'm just going off the original plans from what they were originally talked to. So some of those chemicals and things like that are going to be forever in the ground. And it could possibly wind up in the air because of evaporation. Either evaporation from them running over the cooling diodes and everything in the data center to the retention ponds that are going to have to be filled up. So a closed loop is not really a true closed loop system. You're going to have to introduce new water into that. So when you introduce water into that, it's going to disturb the surface area, and those chemicals can be released in the air or absorbed into the ground into our water supply system. So a closed loop system is kind of out of the ordinary. Now, the chemicals do break down, leading to long-term pollution, water pollutions. They can cause cancer, immune system damage. Now, I understand there was something about talking about tax incentives. We've got to make sure that we protect ourselves, that if that place does fold up in 5, 7, 2 years, whatever the case could be, that the city of Troy is not left out hanging out on the fence wire. So those kind of things, we need to make sure that we keep ourselves solid in that type of thing. Now, as far as the other, once you get those fencing, the tall fencing like that, it's going to look like a penitentiary or prison. You've got the substations. You're going to get the hum from the substation constantly going off. A power data center of this size is probably going to run anywhere between 8 to 15 generators. That the noise itself is going to be a problem. Now, you understand we've got a noise ordinance, which is good, but you can also make demand that they put insulation inside the generator systems. You can have them put scrubbers on the exhaust to eliminate majority of the pollutants. I'm sure there's something that's always going to get by out there on those occasions. So all the sound deadening and substation sounds, you've got to be able to make sure that the developer pockets that cost, not the city of Troy, so that we're not left hanging out on the wire. And I understand when you go to inspect some of these places, you're going to get taken around by a real estate agent. Does the real estate agent show you the back alley where the dumpsters are at, the garbage cans, and the weeds growing in the backyard? No, I'm pretty sure they don't. They're going to show you pristine. All right, we're not going to run anything in the building while these guys are here doing the tour. We've got to make it quiet. Don't run the generators. Don't do anything. Make it look all nice roses and unicorns and butterflies, whatever the case may be. Don't get fooled by that. Make sure that you guys do your due diligence. Look to see from other communities that have put them in. Now, the majority in the Illinois are all in the Chicagoland area. Majority of those, 90% of those are in industrial parks, and those are settings and things along those lines. So you've got to make sure that you protect yourselves. And I understand the city's got to grow. Personally, I would not rather like to see it in the city of Troy. Put it out in a farmland. Design a true industrial park. Put it out there. Make them use that out there. So you've got the sound deadening of 270, 55, those noise areas like that, like they do up in the Chicagoland area. They built them around the highways, freeways up there, so that the road traffic sounds drown out some of the other sounds. But that's nothing that the neighborhoods, the daycares, the residents, the retirement communities, all these people will have to suffer from, because that sound will carry a 3-mile radius. I'll be the one, if they do just put one in here, I'll be the one inspecting the generators for the installation. And I don't want to have to go across the street to inspect the daycare and see a bunch of kids coughing. And that's just not what I want to see in the city of Troy. We're better than that. So I'd like to see us move forward, figure out something that's going to be a better fit for this community, find out from the citizens, what would you like to see in the city? I understand Mr. Kelvin, are you Mr. Kelvin? I heard a voice over here because we're around the corner. Mr. Kelvin? Yeah. So he wants to find other businesses in town. Get some suggestions from the public out there. Do you guys ever kind of do any kind of a public input? We'd like to see, what would you guys like to see here? Would you like to see the Park North thing, the golf thing that's like in Edwardsville? Do you want to see a bigger trail, a walking trail in the city? Do you want to see more sit-down restaurants? Do you want more fast food? Do you want, what kind of entertainment would you like to see in these areas? Has that ever been done with the city of Troy? I'm just asking. Now, the one lady said streaming was going to be a beneficial thing for you guys, because the people can sit at home, watch it the very next day, contact their alderman, and go, hey, I'm not too hip about this, or hey, that's a great idea. You've got my vote. Keep pushing forward with something like this. Keep the public involved. Keep that transparency as just as clear as glass. It's my opinion, and that's all I got to say to that. Thanks. Michael Douglas.
My name's Michelle Falby, and I do not envy your job one bit, but what I would like to say is, if there are people that are stalking you, threatening you, harassing you, showing up at your homes, that should be stopped, and if it takes the law to stop them, I would think something should be done to stop that. You should not have to put up with that. I'm not for the baby exposures at all, but I am not for any of that stuff. That's unacceptable. And thank you.
Ma'am,
yes.
Could you spell your last name?
Falby. F as in Frank, A-L, B as in boy, E. And I live about 2 miles due north, and I can hear the games. I can hear the when it's nighttime, sound carries out here big time. I go out in my yard. It's not unusual to be out maybe at 2 or 3 in the morning, and every little sound carries. And I'm out in the country. Thank you.
Hey, good evening, everyone. My name is Jim Bowers, and I am not a resident of Troy, but I am here a lot because I am a member of Providence Presbyterian Church. We are building we're renovating our newly purchased property for sanctuary. We've been without a sanctuary for over a decade, so we're super excited. I learned about this project Thursday evening, so this is all brand new to me. And one of the first things I saw was that the original location that we were talking about, the secondary entrance, was literally right across the street from our new worship center. So I am relieved in one sense that, it sounds like it's moving, but that doesn't address everything for everyone, and I totally recognize that. I also want to recognize that you all have a very hard job, and you're under a lot of pressure. So this is tremendous. It's what you're doing. It's so difficult. And I also recognize that we have business owners, family members, so we have people that are genuinely concerned. When I bring my 5 children into Troy to go to church, I'm hearing all these buzzwords tonight. I'm hearing 3.5 gigawatts, second phase, first phase 300 megawatts, 12,000 or 12 billion BTUs an hour. It's all very scary stuff, right? And we've also heard gotta move quickly. Hyperscale, time to market, we gotta get this done. And I just wanna reiterate what the gentleman here, the business owner, said, is that we really need professional help, right? There are executive firms that, they're professionals, this is what they do. They can come alongside you, take this pressure off, they can bring in the scientists and the others that can do the acoustical modeling and everything else that we need done to make sure that we're making the best decision. So I would just like to really emphasize that you really should consider this if you haven't. And I would hope that maybe you could give a commitment to doing that, but if not, think about it. Please consider bringing in experts to come alongside you and provide you all, the council and the mayor, and all these wonderful people here, the information they need to make the best decision. And that's what I have to say. Thank you.
Guess I'll get on my toes here. I'm Jane Mercer. I'm an engineer, project manager. I've seen a lot of presentations, sat through a lot of developers. I've never seen a map so disrespectful of the people of Troy that they presented, that is on the front page of your Troy paper, that anyone would bring that to a meeting is appalling. Totally illegible. People sat in that first meeting and said, is that Highway 40? What's that? Is that the interstate? Where are we? It's really disrespectful, and that's what they handed you guys. Maybe they'll try to do a better job next week. They're gonna bring in their experts on their payroll, I assume. I don't know. But it's something to keep in mind. It's real disrespectful, and that's how you were treated. I also sat in on that Zoom meeting. They have found none of these data centers that are willing to bond anything for their, to be dismantled in the future. Nobody's gonna touch it. And I think someone also at the meeting mentioned, I think it's the Aurora data center. There was some kind of glitch with something, and they ran generators for days. And they have statements by the citizens of that town what happened. This is recently, like I think in the last year. So it's worth looking at. Thank you.
I'm short too, guys. All right, so I'm Hannah Turner. Some of you I've spoken to on the different Facebook posts. I wanted to address something. The city is still a business. So while we may want to take personal offense to the verbiage that Ann used, she's still a professional. She still has to represent the city, okay? So looking at her stuff, if you haven't seen the emails, by all means, please look at them. If somebody was running a business, I think I would feel more apt to come to Ann than somebody that said, hell no, I don't want you in my town. That wouldn't look good for the mayor to say that either. Now, granted, he was very frank with you here. I think that they've done a really good job because they are still in the beginning phases of this. Okay, yes, the drawing was terrible, okay, but they're coming in with a presentation We're not saying we want it. Personally, I don't want it. But what I can tell you is they have a due process that they have to go through. They have due diligence they have to do. Otherwise, this city will be slapped with a lawsuit. I could be wrong, but I think our attorneys could probably say that that might be considered discrimination. They have to have something in our ordinances. These data centers, they're new. So how are they going to have an ordinance over something that we have never come into contact with? Okay? And we were talking about the experts. That costs money. You guys don't want our taxes to go up, right? How do you propose that we are going to pay for those things? Are you okay with helping raise the funds so we can get an expert? Let's work as a community. That is something that I kept saying on there. You want businesses? Help Mr. Keegan. Find businesses that you guys want. I see posts all the time saying, okay, I'm looking at starting a business. What do you guys want? There's barely anything other than I hear sirloin sake, what is it, the steakhouse. I mean, there's all kinds of like funny answers, but let's be serious, guys. We want the city to grow, right? I can tell you I've been here for 15 years, and there have been multiple businesses that have tried to come in, but then we end up with this kind of stuff. When the weed stuff got legalized, we have people coming in that wanted to come here. I'm saying we've had businesses turned away because of the, I'm not saying, I literally just got done saying I don't want this. I'm saying there are other businesses, okay? Give them something that can go there. Help them. Because like we've all already talked about, they have other jobs. So when you get upset that they don't answer you right away, they have other jobs, okay? All I want is for you guys to take a second. Remember, these are humans. Okay, we have children. Okay? It's not fair for them to be up here and literally crucified because you're mad about a data center. We don't want it. They hurt us. Give them the data. By all means, please. Give us the research. Help us, because I want to know more about it. I want to give them all the data that I have too, but we can't be mean about it to them. They're trying their very best to represent you. And the thing is that Ann has worked at the Park District for a really long time. For some people, that probably felt like a slap in the face to see that. It sounded like she was in support of it, when really she was just doing her job. The same with them entertaining the conversation. That doesn't mean that they've approved it. There were so many people that said that they didn't know that this hadn't already been approved. So I'm gonna get off my soapbox. Please just remember to be kind and remember to stop making the threats. You guys heard about the threats? That came from some of you that are in this room. If it happened to me, I sure would, and I would tell them to do that. But at any rate, next person if there's anybody else.
All right, last chance. Once again, we appreciate you all very much. We want to hear your voices. You spoke loud and clear this evening. We've taken it all in, and we'll consider everybody when we make our decisions. But like I said, we're going to expedite this. This has been tearing our community apart, and now it's time that it stops. So we appreciate you coming down. Keep the positive attitudes. We're all in this together. We'll get through this together, and we'll come out better for it. So thank you. I need a motion to adjourn. Second? Nate? All in favor, aye? Thank you, everyone.